Hello, welcome back. I'm Statman Dave, and today we're going to be answering the question, what has Ralf Rangnick changed at Manchester United? Remember to subscribe if you are new, smash that like button, but anyway, let's get this party started. Ralf Rangnick became the first German to win his opening Premier League game as manager. Whilst it wasn't a 7-0, there was definitely some positives to take from the game. So today, I'm going to go through what Ralf Rangnick has already changed at Old Trafford. In Rangnick's first game at Manchester United, the German set up United in a 4-2-2-2. What was apparent from the start was how much intensity United played with. Rangnick talked about wanting control of the match, and this shape allowed his side to dominate the centre of the pitch, dominating the ball in possession, with two midfielders, two number 10s, but also this narrow shape allowed United to counter-press effectively and dictate what Crystal Palace were doing when they were in possession. One of the biggest changes was how high a defensive line the Reds adopted. The higher defensive line was partnered with a higher line of engagement, which saw United engage Crystal Palace in the Eagles' defensive third. This really benefited Victor Lindelof, who was able to step up and engage the Palace's forwards when the ball was on the ground. The high engagement and commitment to intense pressure saw United force 12 turnovers in the final third, the most they managed in a single Premier League game since the days of Sir Alex Ferguson. In fact, the high pressing was so effective that Patrick Vieira stopped building out from goal kicks after just 12 minutes, as Palace went long after that point. United pressed in their 4-2-2-2 starting shape, and they operated in a narrow unit, placing an emphasis on the fullbacks to step and engage the ball. What we saw was United looking to force Crystal Palace wide, with the central players closing down the passing lanes inside whilst pressing the ball. But pinned in by the touchline, Crystal Palace players would either have to go down the line or start again and go back to the goalkeeper. Often the ball would go down the line, and so Telles and Dalot would try and win possession back. This worked so well against Crystal Palace because their danger men, notably Wilfried Zaha, wouldn't be able to turn as they would immediately have pressure at their back. This tactic was so successful as the duo won more tackles than any other positional pair on the pitch. But Manchester United also looked to win the ball back in high central areas, normally through their aggressive midfielders. Fred and McTominay were both singled out for praise by Rangnick in his post-match interview, and their intensity and aggression meant they always were ready to engage when the ball had been worked centrally. After the fullbacks, United central midfielders won the most tackles on the pitch in the 1-0 win over Crystal Palace. But United recovered through a third method of closing down all short passing options and forcing long hopeful balls or simple clearances that would be recovered by their centre-backs. We saw this in the 15th minute as United controlled Crystal Palace through their defensive actions, proactively forcing the Eagles to play where United wanted them to rather than waiting for them to make mistakes. We pick up the move as Crystal Palace recover possession on the cusp of the final third through a Kante interception. After playing a 1-2 with Gallagher, he goes back to the centre-backs. Tompkins passes to Klein, but United close all the forward passes, so he goes back to the centre-back. Already at this point, United's back line has pushed 20 yards further up the pitch, and their team as a whole is in a compact shape. Tompkins then passes out to Guehi as Bruno steps up to press. But as he does so, McTominay steps onto Gallagher as United move as a cohesive unit. These actions and Bruno's slight step outside to force Guehi back inside means the only passes on is back to Tompkins. Because United have created this scenario, they know that is the only pass, and Rashford moves on to Tompkins. Again, with this setup, the only pass now is a further one to Klein, as United already start to cover those lanes, with Sancho pressing Klein and Ronaldo picking up Kante. When Klein receives, his only passing option is back to the keeper, as Sancho and Rashford force him inside, whilst Rashford marks Tompkins and cuts the line to Guehi. Even if Klein did squeeze the pass across, Bruno is watching and waiting for this, so the right back goes back to the keeper, who's forced into a long pass that United recover. This spell of possession lasted only 29 seconds for Crystal Palace, as United forced them back from their final third to their goalkeeper in 9 passes by blocking passing lanes and pressing intelligently to control the Eagles and where they played. But if United couldn't win the ball back quickly, they'd drop into a 4-4-2 mid-block, resetting, getting organised so they could go again. Again, United would look to force passes out wide, where one of their number 10s would step up and engage as they tried to force Palace to play backwards. When they did, one of the central midfielders would step up often following the opposition defensive midfielder as the pressing shape transitioned to a diamond, with United adopting an effective zonal pressing scheme. It's impressive how quickly Rangnick's organised United's defensive structure, and whilst it wasn't perfect, it was a lot better than we've seen in recent memory. Whilst we saw the biggest change come defensively from Rangnick, we also saw changes in possession as United had a distinct plan with the ball. In their own half, there was a lot more vertical passes rather than constantly recycling the ball between their back four. In attack, United's shape was quite narrow, with the two number 10s often more central than the strikers. De Gea still passed short out of the back, but United looked to quickly work it to the fullback, who was responsible for most of the progression. The narrowness of the attacking shape meant there were a lot of options to progress the ball. The interiors were in between the lines and behind the midfielders. Cristiano Ronaldo offered himself up as a target man, either dropping in between the lines as a passing option to feet, or Ronaldo would contest aerial duels from long and direct passes. And finally, to match the narrow shape and stop dangerous central passes, Crystal Palace would narrow, which would open up massive space out wide. This created an environment for Rashford and Telles to combine, with the Brazilian playing balls down the line for the striker to run onto, often dragging a centre-back out wide with him. In the final third, the shape became a 2-2-4-2. The central narrowness continued, which allowed the interplay between the front four and maintain the space out wide, where the fullbacks were able to operate as wing-backs and send in early whipped crosses. The directness in possession was very apparent, and the stats back it up. Not only did United send in more crosses in Rangnick's first game than any other league game this season, but their completed passes travelled the third furthest distance towards goal this season. Despite only having one training session, Rangnick has already started to implement his ideas at Old Trafford. Obviously, it's very early days, but there's a clear style of play, and whilst it wasn't a vintage performance, we're talking 5 or 6 goals against Crystal Palace, there'll be elements that Rangnick will be very pleased with. Fred's winner gave an insight into how Rangnick's United could attack in the future. Maguire in possession. He plays it across to Lindelof, who steps out with the ball. He finds Ronaldo, who plays it wide to Delot. The right back drives at Mitchell as he cuts inside and finds Mason Greenwood. The forward controls and tees up Fred, who fires it into the back of the net from the edge of the box. But if we take it back, we can see the centre-backs being brave in possession, playing a good line-breaking pass. Then a forward moves it out wide to an advanced fullback with one touch. The attacking intent from the fullback is excellent to find a yard to get a pass, whilst the closeness of the central players allows the interior to combine with the supporting midfielder. And before the pass goes back to Fred, all 4 of the forwards are inside the box. I'm sure these elements will be present throughout Rangnick's tenure as Man United manager. What you can't account for is Fred's wand of a right foot. But anyway guys, what do you think? Did you notice anything else that Rangnick has changed at Manchester United? Let me know in the comments below. I've been Statman Dave, subscribe if you're new, we'll see you later. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, why not check out some more content on the Statman Dave YouTube channel.